Hi, students. So at this point, we know that we're writing an essay. We know what we're writing about. You've sent me thesis statements. I've given you feedback. And yesterday we did some activities with introductions. Hopefully you've sent me an introduction draft. If you haven't, please do. If you have, hopefully I've given you feedback or you were on the right track. And I just kind of encourage you to keep going where you were. I did promise to support you on every step of this writing an essay journey since I can't be there for you physically. So yesterday we did introductions. Today I would like to talk about how to structure body paragraphs. So we'll talk about body paragraphs today, and your assignment, you might expect, is going to be to write your first body paragraph and share that with me. But also you're going to be making revisions on what you've already written and re-looking over that, because writing is a process, right? It's a revising process. It's a looking over what you've already written process. So I'd like you to practice those skills today along with writing your first good, strong body paragraph. So, how to write a body paragraph. Some of you might need this review, some of you might not need it. And if that's the case, I suppose feel free to start working on your body paragraph. But if you do need this, it's here for you. So, how to structure a body paragraph, I'll make sure to email this to you so you all have the notes as well. What are body paragraphs in an essay? So, we should know this, right? From Ames Education, we have the definition: a group of related sentences about a particular topic or idea directly relating to the thesis. Ideally, each body paragraph contains new support and evidence to support your thesis. Each is different in what it's saying, but the underlying argument is the same. So each body paragraph has new support and evidence to support the thesis. Every underlying argument is the same. For example, if your thesis is, say, it's an argumentative essay and it's about the environment, and you have to take a stance, your thesis could be: there are many changes to society that could be implemented which would subsequently mitigate the issues of environmental damage and the corresponding global warming, many of these changes benefiting the average consumer as well. So subsequently mitigate means subsequent is like coming after, due to something else, and then mitigate is to reduce or ease the symptoms of something. So the first body paragraph, basically it's saying if we make changes to society, it's going to help the environment and global warming, but also benefit people as well. So your first body paragraph to support this could be about finding alternative energy sources. The second body paragraph could be about instilling better recycling programs. The last body paragraph could be about increasing education about the environment in national curriculums. Despite your three body paragraphs each saying something different, so new support and evidence, the underlying message of each is the same. Underlying argument is the same. If you look at your thesis, the underlying argument of here is what we can implement to reduce the severity of environmental damage and global warming, and here is how it can benefit the average person. So every single body paragraph is going to connect back to this, except in a different way. So there's three different ways that environmental damage and global warming and people are going to be benefited, and we're going to discuss that in each individual body paragraph. It gives support to the thesis. So how to structure a good body paragraph. If you know me and know anything about my teaching style, I kind of hate formulaic writing. I think that like cliches in writing, maybe try to stay away from those, and structure, predictable structure of writing, I don't usually love. I know that it's important and crucial for elementary, middle school, and even early high school writing, but that's why I teach high school, because I want to break you all out of those molds and standardize writing and standardized, what's the formula for a perfect score? There is no formula. It's all about expressing your point clearly, fluidly, and effectively. So how to structure a good body paragraph, I just put a little disclaimer. Please note, this is just a basic formula for writers who are still struggling with easily producing an essay with evidence. As you mature in your writing and as your skills develop, you should vary from this formulaic approach and start putting your voice and structure into your piece. So it should be more unique. It should be more you. It doesn't have to follow this exact formulaic approach to get a good grade on the essay. So what is this formula? Here it is. Start with a topic sentence, a general statement about the next topic that you're going to introduce, assuming that you haven't written a first topic. Ideally, this is a coherent transition from paragraph to paragraph. Hint, try and make it connect to or bounce off of the ideas in the previous paragraph if possible. So it's nice if everything kind of flows in a logical and coherent way. And we'll talk about transitions tomorrow. That'll be tomorrow's lesson. So just try to make sure that your arguments and body paragraphs are kind of flowing fluidly. Number 2, I want you to introduce the claim you want to make. So you start with your topic, then you introduce the claim you want to make. Give a sentence or two description of your next idea/argument and how it connects to the thesis. Then you're going to support your argument with evidence. So this is the most important part of any essay, whether it be analytical, argumentative. Explain the evidence, and if this is an analytic essay, use a quote for support. So if this comes from a text, if you're talking about a book or a story, you're going to use a quote from the book or the story. Afterwards, explain the quote in your own words, adding additional thought and detail on the topic. If it's an argumentative essay, use research or statistics to back it up. And obviously you would cite that source as well, but a little bit differently. Don't forget page numbers when you're using quotes. This is not relevant for your Romeo and Juliet essay. However, it is relevant in any other essay. Step 4 of writing a body paragraph, towards the end of the paragraph, and this is optional, but a strong essay often includes this, you may choose to introduce a counter argument to prove that you understand the full extent of the argument and can still argue it effectively despite conflicting evidence. Be sure, however, if you introduce the counter argument, you make sure you refute it. So, what does this mean, Mr. Ket? It means that a good writer and a good arguer, a good debater, understands all points, all parts of an argument before they go about debating it. So, if you're arguing that renewable energy sources are going to help the environment, you've got to understand the arguments that people use against renewable energy. Is it too expensive, or is it not as effective as we think it is? If you want your argument to be strong, you should point out the inconsistencies in your own argument and then refute them. Say, actually, that's untrue, or science says, or research says, or statistics say, because that's important. And that's how you convince people. Because if people have a shred of doubt in their mind, they're going to say that shred of doubt, or they're going to be thinking it, and it lends credibility to yourself if you can disprove it. So in terms of your own essays with Romeo and Juliet, if you want to argue, if your argument says Romeo is impulsive, and then you offer the counter argument, well, he's not impulsive because, and I think I've used this example before, he went and saw Friar Lawrence and talked everything out before making the plan, and that proves that he's thought things out. So that could be a counter argument, and then you would counter the counter argument and say, while some may argue this, actually, that just further proves his impulsivity, because instead of thinking about who might be the most reliable source, he just went to his good friend, and his good friend was the one who got him into this mess in the first place, so perhaps he wasn't the best person to go to. You don't have to, like I said, include counter arguments, but just bear in mind that effective and strong essays often do include the counter arguments. Finally, a concluding sentence. I want you to give some originality in this concluding sentence. Don't just put a stale restatement of what you've already said, but maybe provide some fresh insight or a transition into the arguments in the following paragraph. So don't just say this paragraph was about, or next, we will transition to blank. You don't want to do something like that. Give it a little flair, a little individuality, change it. And again, this is just me trying to be less formulaic about body paragraphs, but hopefully this helps you if you need a little structure and you need a little guidance on how to write. So I do have an example of a finished body paragraph here. It's kind of long because it's me who wrote it, and I tend to write a lot. So I'm just going to put it here, and I'm going to let you read this yourself, and you can pause it, and you can do that if you need it, or remember that this piece of writing is available to you via email when I send notes, but just bear in mind I will point out the parts really quickly and not necessarily read them, so this is a little shorter for you, so you can spend more time writing today. Here's our introduction topic, transitions into a description of what recycling is and why that's important. So number 2, introduce the claim you want to make. 1-2 sentence description of the argument, how it connects to the thesis. Supporting the argument with evidence, using quotes if necessary. As an example, blah, blah, blah. We've got some statistics here. We got a quote from the US Department of Health and Human Services. Finally, I'm connecting it to the thesis. I'm explaining it in my own words as well and connecting it to that thesis of how it can help people. Benefits of recycling is clear. Helping kind of save the consumer money. And finally, the ending sentence is actually a beautiful transition into what's going to be said in the following paragraph, which is about education and increasing that to help learn about the environment. So that last one that transitions into their recycling, however, isn't the only measure to mitigate environmental damage that also benefits the consumer. So it perfectly plunges right into whatever your next point is going to be. I cite a quote there, and that is how to structure a body paragraph, how to write a body paragraph. Hopefully all of this just sounds really familiar. It should be a review, but I know and feel bad that I can't be there with you as you write this in a computer lab or kind of giving you guidance in the classroom when you bring in rough drafts. So this is why this is here for you, to kind of give you additional support and structure if necessary. What's your assignment for today? You'll also get this really easy. Number one, just make some edits to the introduction paragraph, thesis statement, heading, whatever it was, based on the feedback you've received so far from me, from peers, whatever it may be. Number two, I want you to write your first body paragraph. I did just take away something from this task because I don't want you to have to do that anymore. We're going to work on transitions tomorrow. So just work on your first body paragraph. And then when you're done, email, share with me your progress so far so I can give feedback as needed. Giving feedback to 50 plus students a day is a lot. I did want to do this as you were beginning your essay process, so you had a clear view of where you were going, because I would have done that for you for class. But if your first paragraph is looking good, I might just email you back received, or I might email you back some feedback if I feel like you need it. If you're looking good, I might just say looking great, keep going. And that's that, okay? So once you do all of this, you're going to be done for today. Tomorrow, much to the disappointment of some and the excitement of others, there is no Zoom call, just because I want to keep this essay going and get more of it written, and it wouldn't be fair of me to assign an alternate assignment for half students to continue writing this essay, which would put other students behind in the writing process. So tomorrow you're going to be continuing writing. I'll give one more lesson on something else that would be helpful during the writing process, and more of the essay will be due to be written. We'll finish the essay next academic week. And as always, if you have any problems, questions, concerns, just let me know. I'll be here for you, okay? So email everything when you're finished, and I will talk to you all tomorrow. Bye, guys.